I'm talking about 5 books, or let's say 5 writers that kind of brought me through the year. Scaling Up is the first book by Vern Harnish. I think he's an awesome guy in terms of scaling up businesses, growing businesses, and I had started to read this book before the pandemic kind of spread all over the world, and it was, I think, in January, February when I completed the German version of it. The reason why I find this book so awesome was because we were at that time with our travel business a very dynamically growing company, and I think the team around Vern Harnish is really amazing and very prolific when it comes to understanding what is necessary to grow a business, to, let's say, take it from a small business, from a family-run business to, let's say, have a team with 15, 20, 30 people, something like this. So obviously you need to be doing different things at this stage in order to be able to manage new problems. And management actually is a very important word in this context, because you need to start really to manage people. You need to build a middle management, let's say have team leaders in your different departments. And this book, Scaling Up, I can highly recommend it to every team. Not only the business owners and the entrepreneurs, but the whole teams should be consuming all the ideas and putting them into practice. Something like the daily huddle that we had also reintroduced a couple of weeks ago in our other company, which helps you to stay focused, prioritize the right things that you might want to work on in order to really be effective and bring your company to the next level. I mean, I could talk an hour about this book, but I just wanted to share this first book, which really helped me to even pivot, right? It was really important to pivot last year, especially after Corona started to spread. But I'm gonna tell more about this in detail for sure. And when I'm talking about pivoting, next book is about effectuation. This is actually a German book as well. It's by Michael Faschingbauer from Austria. But the original concept of effectuation is kind of being not invented, but maybe co-invented by a professor from Virginia in the US, Dr. Sarah Saraswati, I think. And she actually came up with this concept of creating new business ideas that are not based on historical evidence or, let's say, methods that everybody knows. It's really about thinking, what do we have? Maybe more going into the Lean Startup Principle by Eric Ries. That's another very good book I can recommend, by the way. But really to look, how can I put my ideas or my resources as a team together, be creative, and start new businesses. Start to even just put ideas into practice in order to generate new value. And especially when we think about Corona, when we had a huge impact all over the world, businesses had to close, businesses were not able to produce anything anymore. So you had to kind of reinvent yourself. And effectuation is a concept that I'm really a fan of, so to say, because I also try to look into synergies, creating synergies with other people, other business owners, or not even only business-wise, just other people I'm meeting with, and then I try to develop ideas of what we can do together, where do we have some common interest, and create something really. Next book, actually 2 books really, because Simon Sinek is my superhero as of now. I would say he's really the best person and writer and inspirer, motivator when it comes to leadership. Start with Why is one of the most watched TED Talks ever. I'm pretty sure top 5 still, and highly recommended, not only for business owners, for entrepreneurs, but everybody in this world should know about their why, what is motivating you. And I do believe that The Infinite Game was the latest book written by Simon Sinek, and I'm not sure if Leaders Eat Last was the previously published book, probably second or third book by Simon Sinek. Anyway, so The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek is very interesting for businesses that also want to work on their vision, their values, and businesses who do not necessarily just look at the competition, but who really have the approach to look at what they do, ask themselves, how can they improve every day? And it's really like this. If you think about what you can optimize in your own business every day, you don't even need to look at anybody else out there. You can always focus on what you have, what you do at the moment, what are your activities, how can I improve them, how can I make the supply chain management a little bit better, how can I improve the quality, how can I improve the teamwork, and so on and so on. So it's really about values, about living, I think, according to some principles that you might want to define in order to be aligned in your company, in your organization, in your team. So it's not only about business teams, it's also about football teams or something like this. They can be more successful if they really follow other principles than just trying to beat others. There's also just fun in playing. Like The Infinite Game is about playing the infinite game, and it's not only about winning. It's really also about improving lives, and this is actually really what we try to live with our companies as well. At the end of the day, it's about, I think, creating more beautiful moments, long-lasting ideas and values. I think for a human being, and also for an organization, be it in a company setup, it's always important to go back to where are you coming from? Why are you doing this? It's a very philosophical approach, of course, but anyway, 2020 has been very philosophical for many people, I think, because you had to start asking yourself questions. Why am I here? What am I doing? Is this justified? What's happening? Is the virus, is it really that bad or whatever? I mean, you start to ask yourself questions, and what a philosopher does is really to start asking very existential questions about your own existence, and of course about the sense of life. What are we doing on this earth? And it's a very deep kind of self-reflection in a way, and I think for me personally, it also made me aware again of what we might want to follow as in principles, values. What do we want in this life? And it doesn't have to be super big goals and becoming rich or anything. It's sometimes just about appreciating the moment, appreciating what you have, being happy about, just putting food on the plate, on the table every day, and, being able to learn every day. Actually, Simon was talking about one of his so-called rivals. I think they might be friends or colleagues these days, Adam Grant. So in this book, Simon Sinek was referring to Adam Grant, another very, very interesting person. He's a psychologist, as far as I know. He's a professor in the US. He was one of the youngest professors in his field of, I think, organizational psychology or something like this. And the title is Give and Take. It's obviously about giving. He did a lot of research on people who are successful. So he makes a separation between takers, people who only want to be successful by taking and putting themselves first and being very competitive. Then we have matchers. Matchers try to always think in that way, that if somebody gives you this, I need to reciprocate this and give that back or whatever, just quid pro quo. And givers are people who give a lot and are even more successful than anybody else, it turns out. Why? Because if you give in the right way, by obviously not giving so much that you cannot survive anymore, let's say, you need to also look at what you need yourself. Yeah, make sure that you have your own needs also matched somehow. But if you give the right way and create value, it's really about value creation and help other people. Somehow this will come back. And I do believe that very successful people in this world give a lot, and Adam Grant is showing this in a very nice way by giving a lot of good examples. And I think he found out in his research that of course you also have very successful, in terms of financially successful, people who only take, who really suck out everybody and do not really create value, and also matchers can be very successful. But in the end, people who are really super successful are oftentimes givers, and that's something I found very inspiring last year to read. I'm certain that I'm gonna read it again one day. My fifth book is a classic. It's The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. He's one of the gurus when it comes to management, and since I had completed my own MBA course last year, obviously I was also dealing with management theory, and this is really a classic. I think Peter Drucker published this in the 1960s, and despite the fact that it's more than 50 years ago, it's very, very up to date, and the concepts there, like using your time wisely, prioritize first things first, organize your team, develop your team, and so on. Those are all very important ideas, and of course in theory it's easy to know about this, but it's always one thing to know about concepts, but not being able to putting it into reality. And it sometimes really needs repetition, and you need to be reminded of those concepts in order to be able to put them into place, because management oftentimes just means to repeat things, focus on one thing that needs to improve, and then find ways to improve the process really. And becoming aware of the processes we have in the company, so we don't only look after one company, we have a couple, and of course by understanding how organizations work and what departments you have or what departments you need, you can also assess better how to improve those things, how to improve the output of the company, how to be more effective in the end. So I think the reason why we were also becoming even more successful the past year with some of our avenues was because we were applying some of those principles, I think, and we are still on a big journey with what we do, but I think we made a big progress and were able to grow more even last year in 2020, despite all the challenges, because we were applying some of those things. And that was basically my 5 books, or let's say 5 writers I was enjoying last year that really helped me to get through 2020. And I hope you have some takeaways from this. And thanks for watching, and talk again soon.